I'd been tracking those jokers for months, waiting for them to do something reckless.
Call of Juarez has never been a stellar series. The complex mechanics and self-series stories has never really come together in a way that made them really stand out. But once Techland dropped all those things in favor of a more arcade-style first-person shooter, I feel like they made one of the best Western games in Call of Juarez, Gunslinger.
Don't I know you, sir?
Don't believe so. I haven't been here in many years. Name's Silas Greaves.
Silas Greaves? The bounty hunter?
You play as a legendary bounty hunter, Silas Greaves, who spends the game in a saloon regaling the other patrons with tales of his adventures. As you progress through the levels and get into gunfights, Greaves will narrate the story and sometimes even react to the choices you make or the paths you choose. According to his tall tales, Greaves have crossed paths with some of the most notorious characters of the Wild West, and one of the best things about the game is the way the levels change as Greaves changes his story.
Hold on, were you attacked by Apaches? What happened to the cowboys?
Did I say they were Apaches? I said Clanton's cowboys attacked me Apache style. I was in a pitched battle, but I was holding my own against an overwhelming enemy force.
While previous games had weird lasso mechanics and horse riding stuff, Gunslinger drops all that in favor of being a straightforward Call of Duty style first-person shooter. There's a small selection of revolvers, a couple of rifles and a shotgun, as well as sticks of dynamite that he can throw like grenades. Every weapon in the game is super satisfying to use, and getting something like a long-range headshot with a rifle feels great every time. You also get a couple of meters to contend with, one being a bullet time meter that you can use to slow down time and see enemies more clearly, and the other one being this sense of death mechanic, where you get the chance to dodge an otherwise killing shot and get back into the fight.
To the Browns, they shot at the Smiths, pissing off the Heinhoffers, whose daughter recently married a Smith. Well, bullets were flying every which way as all the old feuds in Kansas caught fire all at once. There was a hell of a lot of pissed off people in Coffeyville that day. But that's just the way life is sometimes. Shit happens.
Most importantly though is that killing enemies grant you experience points. And as you level up, you can spend skill points across 3 different skill trees to get you stuff like higher ammo carrying capacity or the ability to reload while sprinting. If you spend enough skill points in a tree, you will also unlock more powerful versions of the existing weapons in the game. There's also a combo system, and keeping the multiplier going is a great way to earn a lot of experience points fast. Finally, there's also some hidden collectibles throughout the game called Nuggets of Truth, which not only net you some extra experience points, but also unlocks some super interesting facts about the various Wild West legends. You can also take all of your abilities into New Game Plus and kill some enemies with even more efficiency than you did before. And the game doesn't really have any sort of downtime or long unskippable cutscenes, so it's actually fun to replay all of the levels in the game.
I felt a certain hostility. "Hello, Bob," I said. "I think you better let me go." And he says, "I don't think so, boy. Not with my shotgun."
Some of the levels culminate in a boss fight, a gun duel, which works in a sort of interesting way. See, what you want to do is try and focus on the enemy to aim at them as fast as possible, while also keeping your hand close to your gun so you can draw it as quickly as possible. And when it comes to the actual draw, you'll want to wait for your enemy to draw his gun first, in order for it to count as an honorable kill. One thing I personally found a little bit disappointing is that there is no way to shoot the gun out of the enemy's hand, sort of Lucky Luke style, neither in the duels nor in the actual game itself. But whatever, you play as a cold-blooded bounty hunter out for revenge, so that's to be expected.
So I had no damn choice. Well, Lincoln got a mite depopulated that day. Most everyone thought it was the Ruales who come up against him in Guadalupe Canyon, but it was just me.
Unlike many other first-person shooters, other boss fights in the game works as actual boss fights. There's one where you have to scale a cliff while an old guy with a minigun is trying to shoot you. And there's another one where a guy is up on a ledge throwing sticks of dynamite down at you, trying to get you out of cover, and you have to try and shoot the sticks of dynamite out of the air while whittling down his health as well as his reinforcements. Finally, the game also has a separate arcade mode, where you're trying to play for score in remixed versions of the levels in the game. Here your loadout and abilities are split across 3 separate classes, and here it's all about keeping the multiplier going, because the higher score you get, the more stars you get on each stage, and the more new abilities you unlock for each class. So while there's not really any downtime in the story mode, there's even less of it here if you want to get straight into some gun shooting. As a bit of an extra, there's also a duel mode, where you can get an up-close look at all the character models of the boss characters that you don't usually get to duel in the story campaign. We are looking at the PC version of the game here, but it's also available as a digital download on the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360. It's a bit of a shame that there's no real physical version for consoles, since I think this is Techland's best Call of Juarez game, but it is one of those games that constantly come up on sales, so you can probably get it for really cheap if you want to check it out yourself, which I really think you should, since it's an amazing game.
I wondered if I was ever gonna find the front of that train, or the bastard I was after. Right about then, I was attacked by some asshole on a Gatling gun.
Yeah, seems like you run into a lot of them.
Asshole?
Gatling guns.